In a world often riddled with division, that feeling of more stands as a beacon of unity and understanding, honoring the rich tapestry of human experience. Embark on this transformative adventure with Alana as she reveals the hidden depths of our collective spirit and awakens the limitless potential residing within each one of us. Join Alana as she journeys alongside others who have embraced voice within. Get ready to be moved, uplifted, and forever altered as you uncover the essence of the soul's journey, guided by the insightful and compassionate Alana Green.
Hello, and welcome back to that Feeling of More podcast. I'm so excited to have you guys here and listening along. So today I'm going to continue the journey of myself, the story of me, the background story, just so you have a little more familiarization with me and who I am and my journey that I've been on so far. So I ended somewhere in this is a two-part episode, obviously. I ended somewhere in the part where I had just started my coaching journey. I had left my full-time job and been working alongside Kathleen on this mission. And I just want to talk a little bit more about that. So this also brings me to this podcast because I really want to, I know I'm here. And when I say knowing, this is the intuition, the understanding, that the awareness that we come across as we go through this journey and we continue to raise our level of consciousness. There's a collective consciousness. That's the world's consciousness that's out there right now that we're all part of. There is a oneness that we are all connected to, whether that be God, the universe, source, whatever you choose to call it. Any one of those words work, or there's a lot more that can be utilized. So when we go through this journey and we start to connect, we start to really listen, we start to pay attention, we can, it was funny, I had this conversation the other day with a few people about, our intuition. Actually, it's going to be coming up on one of the episodes I did an interview. So that'll be an interview of somebody's story coming up over the next few days. But anyway, there's part of this story that we talk about our intuition. And what is our intuition and how do we know? Because when we start this journey, we don't really know. Like when I started this, I had no idea what my intuition was. Actually, I was probably coaching and working alongside Kathleen in this community for probably about a year and a half before I really knew what my intuition was. Like I'd heard about it, I talked about it, but I anticipated my intuition being this big booming voice, this big loud knowing that was like, came from, reverberated across the world, like from God or source or universe, whatever. And I felt like it was supposed to be this big thing that would just be like bang, like I like to talk about having a frying pan in the face, but it wasn't. What I've begun to understand after a little while is the intuition is actually, and the difference between your thoughts and our intuition. Like how do we know that difference? So our thoughts are the things that, just kind of run in the background constantly. I don't know about you, but mine constantly run in the background. That's one of the things about me. I say I'm squirrel brained, but it's one of those things that it kind of runs in the background, where your intuition is a thought as well. It comes in the same as your normal thoughts, the same as you think, oh, it's a nice day outside, the same as your knowing, your awareness is what's paying attention to the thoughts. The thoughts are your mind, and your awareness, which let's get real deep for a real quick second. And there's a whole other story here. And there's a book, actually, if you want to read The Greatest Secret by Rhonda Byrne, that's a story to get into your awareness because it takes you to a whole other level. And for a real quick example, it's like you look outside, but is it really you that's looking outside? Or is it the awareness within you that's looking out through your eyes, that's seeing the outside and taking that information? It's the awareness that sees it. Interesting thought. Anyway, that's one of those awakened moments that I'm going to share as we go along this journey. Anyway, so the intuition, going back to the intuition, what's the difference is we find the knowing of something where you're just like, I know that. How do we know it? We don't really know it, but we do. There's something within us that says, yeah, that's the right knowing. And the difference between a knowing and a belief is something that you can trace it back to something. The belief is like, I believe heaven and earth, or I believe in heaven and hell. It's a belief. We have no knowing and full understanding. We've never been there. I mean, some people may have and, had a near-death experience and have experienced it, but what is really heaven and hell? There's a whole other conversation that we can dive into there, but we won't start that today. But it's a belief of like, I believe when I die, I'm going to go to heaven, or I believe I have done bad things, so maybe I'll go to hell. And these are all beliefs because we don't really know for sure. But a knowing is, and you can know about heaven and hell. You can know where you're going to go. And that's what I'm talking about, is when you solidly have a feeling within you that that's a truth. It's a truth for you, your truth. And this is the difference when we kind of filter through all of our beliefs. What's my belief? What's a truth for me versus what's a belief that's been given to me? Like money doesn't grow on trees is a belief. It's an idea that somebody's given you, and then you're like, okay, I believe that idea. But, well, money literally doesn't grow on trees. We don't have it as a fact. I mean, it's paper. It used to be made of paper, and now it's plastic and all these other things. But at least here in Canada, I suppose. But this is the thing, is we get to decipher in our mind, in our knowing, in our awareness. We get to decipher what's an intuitive thought, something that's come through us as a knowing, or a conscious thought. And this could get in a whole little rabbit hole here. So your conscious thought is what you're choosing. It's your brain thinking something from the past. And then your intuition is something that you couldn't have created. Something else gave it to you and you don't even know what it is. Well, we do know what it is. It's God, spirit, source, the universe, consciousness, the collective consciousness, the knowing, the Buddha. Like it could be any one of those things, right? So that's an intuitive thought or a knowing. And the more if you let it sit for a minute and let it resonate, and if it keeps coming back to you and you're like, no, and then at some point it switches to a knowing. I know that's my truth. And that's what we talk about when we're talking about, a belief, a thought, an intuition, and a knowing. So I know this podcast is made for a reason. I know I'm here to help raise this voice. I know I am here in this community for a purpose, for a reason. I know I needed to be here for this reason, to have this awareness, to have this unfolding, or taking the layers, which would be an unfolding, would be like a removing of layers of beliefs. So that's what we call an unfolding. And from when I started this journey till now, I've unfolded a lot of beliefs and a lot of thoughts and a lot of layers of what I really am. And I begin to decipher my truth. And that's one thing I think is one of my superpowers we like to talk about here, is that sometimes we think it's a weakness. Like my squirrel brain that I keep talking about, it's not really, I've changed it. It's not really a weakness. I used to think it was a weakness, and it was ADD, and I gave it all kinds of different things. But I know it's my superpower, because the powerful thing about being able to have a squirrel brain and jump from one idea to the next super easy and lose my train of focus, I'm not really losing it, I'm just refocusing. I have the ability to refocus like that. So I utilize that as my superpower. The same thing as one of my other superpowers is knowing my truth. And it's taken me up until now to really accept that superpower. Because I would come along and I would know things, and then I would doubt myself. I would doubt that knowing. I would doubt the truth within myself. I actually did a Reiki session that's later on down the journey here, which I'll get to eventually instead of just rambling. One of the sessions I did a self-Reiki session when I started learning Reiki, and that's, like I said, a little further along the journey. But my point here is that I did a Reiki session and I got to my heart chakra, and I had this sudden thought that showed up that I didn't consciously create. It was a thought that I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust the God within me. I didn't trust the power within me, because God isn't just outside of us. Like I said, my identity originally thought, or my belief originally was, it was this old man outside of me that I didn't connect with. Whereas now I know God is all around us. God is in every single thing, being. It's creation. Everything is created through the power of God, source, the universe, whatever you want to call it. And that power has created the physical thing, as physical as it is in our mind, that thing in front of us. So when we have this connection, it's within us, which means like if God created all these things, God created us. Yes, and not just created us and left us, but it's part of us. God is part of us. It's within us. That power of creation we have within us. We have part of God within us, because otherwise our thoughts would never become things. The things that we have all around us are this microphone in front of me, this pen in front of me, this table, this camera. All of these things were a thought in somebody's mind at one point, and it became a thing. So if we aren't part of creation, like, how is that not God? That's already within us. It's part of, we have that power within us. We are not all creator, but we have the power to create whatever we want in our reality. So that's the power of what we have. And for me, when I'm going back to my superpower, was I really know my superpower is being open to beliefs, open to different ideas, open to thought. And before, I just allowed the truths to become my truth. I allowed somebody else's, I allowed suggestions that were repeated to me become my truth. And what I've learned now, not only can I change my mind and create what I want to create and think about what I want to think about and control it, I can also decide what my truth is. And it just, what feels right for me is my truth. And it's only recently I've been able to really accept my truth. But I know, because I was talking to my son one day, my youngest is 16 going on 17, and he expressed to me one day, he's like, you believe everything. And I'm like, no, I don't believe everything I hear. But what I do is I choose my belief. I choose what I think. And I feel what feels right for me, and that's my truth. So I'm open to having conversations about every single idea. I'm open to have conversations about beliefs, but I get to choose my truth. And only lately have I really started trusting my knowing and my truth within inside me. Anyway, I mean, I guess I've trusted it all along. There's some pieces of me I could tell you I've been unconsciously conscious, because I've been able to just follow my heart. Maybe that's part of it. I was really good at following my heart. And I just didn't notice I was trusting my heart. Because the heart is your intuition. It leads you in the right path. Our conscious mind, if you have to think about it, that's your conscious decision or your conscious creation or your conscious intellect doing the work. When you follow your heart, which is your most intuitive part of you, your heart's always leading down the right path. And your heart is the piece that connects your brain to your soul. So when your whole alignment, your mind, heart, body, mind, soul connection is connected, when you're aligned, you can feel your truth. Anyway, that was a whole long story to know my truth. Anyway, so going back to, I knew I was here for a reason. And so I started this journey alongside Kathleen and helping her on her mission to help change the world, change the consciousness, help share this message to people. And I knew that's what I was here for. And I've continued on this journey, and I've touched and connected with so many people who are seeking this feeling of more and are seeking, like I said, having multiple conversations along the way in this journey that I've been doing for an awfully long time. But everybody would express the same thing. They would come to us seeking more, knowing there was something else out there, knowing there was more out there for them. And that's that feeling of more that we've talking about. That's the whole point of this podcast, is to share what people's feeling of more is. And so it brought me alongside this journey. So I've been working on this journey, like I said, for almost 3 years. And along that journey, I've come across a few other truths. Again, I went to Miami. I went to Miami. We had this beautiful experience, which I talked about in the first episode, that created the feeling of more. That awareness came to me, that knowing came to me. And then the next thing was, I'm connected with a beautiful couple, Jeanette O'Neill Burns and Tom Burns, and they've been very much aligned. Actually, Jeanette was my accountability partner when I started this journey many years ago, and she's going to be coming up on this podcast real soon. We're going to do a little chat together about our story. I've been connected with them, and it was funny when I started this journey. I heard Reiki before. I had no idea what Reiki even was. And when I first connected with her, that was one of my first questions is, what is Reiki? And can you explain it to me? I know it's a thing, but I didn't really know what it was. I didn't understand it. And then it was something that resonated with me. And then down the road, actually, when I came back from Miami, it was one of those things that I always wanted to learn a little more about and understand, and I don't know, maybe do it at some point, maybe down the road. But when I came back from Miami, I had to, again, go back to this idea of trusting myself and listening to what showed up and paying attention. So that feeling of more showed up. And then I just started paying attention to the awarenesses, because I was very masculine. And I think I've spoken about this before, but I was very masculine in my journey. I was very good at doing things. Going back to that list I was talking about last time, is that I was very good at making things on a list. When I was doing those network marketing opportunities, I would share about, or I would do, like I said, in that first part of my journey, I would do the things that Kathleen said. I would physically check them off. I would do the things mechanically in a very masculine way, doing them. And when we talk about masculine and feminine, that's the doing. It's the getting things done. It's the action. But I was missing the connection to the feeling, the heart, the journey, the emotional connection, which is part of the feminine side. And I wasn't allowing things to unfold. I wasn't really paying attention. I was so busy doing, I wasn't even listening. That was one of the very first things when I did my very first Reiki session with Tom, virtually, which also blew my mind because I didn't even know that energy could work like that. I thought I had to be physically in the space. But that was probably the most powerful Reiki session. Well, I mean, it was my first Reiki session, so I hadn't had one before. But it was so powerful. I didn't know how he could connect and know the things he did and understand and intuitively get what was going on with me without I never even met the man in person before. He knew nothing about me. I mean, like I said, Jeanette was my accountability partner, but Tom and I hadn't really had a conversation. So how would he know all these things? Anyway, so I had this really great connection. And one of the things he said to me then was do you ever stop and listen? And I'm like, what do you mean listen? And I'm like, well, I meditate and I visualize. I at this point had been about, like I said, almost a year and a half into my journey. And I had been creating and doing a lot of things, but I didn't really pay attention to listening. And so I asked him to expand on it. And it was just listen, don't put conscious thought into it, but just listen and see what shows up. So in that process, that was before I went to Miami, a couple months before. And then I went to Miami, had this thought of needing to raise the voice and that feeling of more. And then I came to this journey or when I came back, he had offered an opportunity to learn to be a Reiki master or learn to practice Reiki. And I was like, oh, it was on my to-do list at some point, but I'm coaching people to follow their heart and to follow their journey and to do what feels right and not to wait. So why was I waiting? So I then I connected with Tom and I just made the decision to jump into his course. And I made another really good, powerful point here is setting an intention. Setting an intention is so powerful. That's really just creating a purpose or an outcome. Setting an outcome for something is setting an intention. So how would you love for it to turn out? And so when I started that course, unknowingly, I set an intention for it. And I said, I just want to master the art of allowing. Because I was so used to hearing other people talk about just allowing. And I felt like I wasn't really connecting to that intuition and really listening. And really that part of me was underdeveloped. And not that it really wasn't, but I just didn't recognize it in myself. Looking back, I wasn't really paying attention to it. And again, when we aren't aware, it's hard to see it. So that's why everybody in this community, everybody you connect with is a mirror. You get to learn from everybody. Anyway, so I started this journey with Tom and man, oh man, did I just master the art of allowing. I let things unfold. I continued the learning, the awarenesses. I started really listening to my intuition, my thoughts, paying attention to the knowing and following my heart. And it was such a powerful journey for me. And that was just a tool. I mean, Reiki is for those that don't know, it's a connection to the life source, the energy that's all around us that creates and moves everything in our life. Everything is made of energy. Everything, down to the science, everything is energy. So we are all energetic beings and we're all connected to this world and everything around us has an energy component. And what Reiki does is it takes those energy centers, like a body has a circulation within us. Our body has blood that flows and air that flows throughout our body. We have circulation within us. And energy or Reiki is just a connection to that energy flow that's within ourselves. And it's the connection to the source around us as well, because it's also energy. God is also energy. And so when we connect to that source, that connection, when we align ourselves properly, because I think everybody probably listening, or a lot of you have listening, have heard of the chakras within your body. These are our energy centers. And this is where it connects ourselves. And when our energy centers are aligned and in perfect circulation and things flow well, it's good. And life is well and things happen and things manifest and things continue to grow and blah, 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 blah. But when our energy centers or parts of our body hold on to the energy in certain places, That's when we have illness. That's when we have trauma. That's when we have breakdown or dis-ease in our body. When things start to break down. So this is an opportunity for me, was an opportunity just to connect, to really listen more than anything. Because I was still in the masculine of doing things. And this was a very amazing opportunity for me to just connect and learn and heal. Because this was another piece I wasn't doing. I wasn't really healing things. I became aware of things, but then I tried to just change them. I tried to make them change. But through Reiki, I allowed myself to understand that I'm a healing being. We all are. We are all our own healers. And this was just a stronger connection to that idea. And when we can heal ourselves, because even as a Reiki practitioner now, I've done it, I've gone throughout the whole course, and I'm a Reiki master at this point. But I'm as a Reiki master even, or as a Reiki practitioner, all we are guides to help channel that energy, to help channel your energy, to help focus it in specific ways, and to help move that energy into alignment, to clear things, to clear blockages, to clear feelings and hurt and trauma, all of these different things that our body's physically holding on to. It's all part of our energy. So when we clear that stuff out, we get better. Anyway, carrying along this journey, so that's when I began my Reiki journey, and I really allowed it to be part of my life, and guided it, and had it help guide me along the way, which also led me down this journey. And I started to really trust. That's where I said I started to understand that I needed to trust myself more. And when I started to trust myself more, and even like I said, to this point today, I'm just getting to the point where I'm really fully trusting the thoughts, the feelings, the awarenesses that show up. Hence this podcast. This podcast is part of the trust, because since September, at some point, I knew I needed to do a podcast, but I had no idea what. And then I just allowed, like I said in my journey, the awarenesses to show up, and the thoughts and the feelings and the knowings that I understood as I was unfolding to happen. So I got to have this experience, and it's all led to this podcast. And somewhere in the last few months, I've just been told, directed, guided to know that I'm here to raise the voice of spirituality. I'm here to help people know more. I'm here to help people understand this journey. That, when I first started this journey of personal development, I thought it was just for me to know more or do things in a better way. Do things. When you talk about doing or figuring it out, those are the masculine. You'll hear lots of those in my vocabulary, because that's my tendency. But I've definitely allowed more as well. But at the beginning, it was just about understanding myself. And what I've understood about myself is that we are all here, one, as energetic beings in this human experience, and our soul is not our body. There's another awareness within ourselves. So all of those things have changed in my beliefs and my understanding, but I also have become aware that this journey isn't just about this physical space. This journey is about us becoming one with ourselves. And I think I talked about this in the very first episode, but it's about finding this alignment and trust within each and every single one of us. So I know that's why I'm here. I know that's what I'm here to do, is help people find their alignment within themselves, especially when they're stuck in a space where they just can't move forward. But to help people understand that there's more out there. That's what this podcast is about. There's more out there. There is a purpose. This feeling inside of you is for a reason. And it's to help you find your oneness, your purpose within yourself. And to trust yourself, and to love yourself fully, and to listen, and to become aware, and to align, and all of these beautiful things. Allow. That's what this is for. And to help raise the voice, to help make this conversation normal. So I'm going to come on here. I'm going to talk, like I said, I've got a couple of interviews. I'm going to bring up my beautiful accountability partner. We've been best friends since the beginning of this journey years ago, back in 2020. And we're going to raise the voice. The people that are going to come on here are going to help raise the voice. They're going to share their ideas, their journey, their methods, their awarenesses, their understandings, their learnings with you. And I'm going to help share that message. And I'm going to bring up so many people that you can see that there's somebody that resonates with you, that there's somebody that can help you in your journey, that there's someone that speaks to you whether it be me or other people in this community or whatever. So I'm here to help. I'm here to help raise the voice. I know this is part of my service to the world, is to be able to serve in this way and be able to raise the voice, to be able to bring the spirituality, this awakening that's going on, because everyone is seeking it. Everyone is seeking this journey, every single one of us. And whether you aren't aware of it yet or not, this is what we're all seeking. Our soul is seeking this journey and an understanding that we are unfolding. And this universal consciousness, this consciousness that's going on in this world right now, that's shifting, that Kathleen's here to change and impact. Because as we grow this awareness and as we grow this understanding and as we grow this shift in the consciousness, the universal consciousness, the collective consciousness that's going on right now, I'm excited to see what's going to unfold, what's going to continue to happen. The love that's pouring out of people right now, the need that everybody's seeking something different, the shift from working 9 to 5, all of these things, these are all like COVID, all of these things led to this spiritual awakening that's going on right now. And I know I had to do this podcast simply for this purpose, to help with this conscious awakening. So I'll end it there for today. Thank you so much again for listening to me and for allowing me to share my journey here. And I'm so excited for you to be here along this ride, along this journey with us. Because this is the thing, it's not about an end. There is no destination. It is all about this journey. And I want to help you along your journey in some way, shape, or form. And if you, like I said, if you want to connect on a call, more than welcome to help out or reach out and connect with me on my website, on any social media. I'm Coach Alana Green. And I would just love to hear from you to help you on your journey. Or, like I said, there'll be people coming on here that'll be sharing about their journey as well. And maybe you'll resonate with them, and that's okay too. But I'm just so excited for you to listen and to hear what is possible for you. And to understand what that feeling is, that feeling of more. Anyway, have a beautiful day. Love you all.
Thank you, beautiful souls, for joining us today on That Feeling of More podcast with your host, Alana Green. We'd love to invite you to connect with Alana and our guests at lifeisajourneycoaching.com. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you can join us on our next journey of awakening.